Hey y'all, it's Sarah and welcome back to my YouTube channel. You can find me over on Instagram at The Magical Reader. Alright, so today we are doing a shelf tour. This was requested by a few of my friends over on Instagram, so I thought I would show you guys a little bit about what my main shelf looks like. I have one more shelf in my classroom that's full of middle grade and some more young adult books, and I also have a bookshelf in my bedroom that has some more thrillers and crime fiction. But these are my primary books that I like to pull from when I'm looking for something to read, so let me show you what I have. Alright, so here we go. Y'all, I have never filmed vlog style on this camera before. I shoot with a Rebel T3i, which is a DSLR camera, and I primarily have used it in the past for still photography, and I still do that, but I'm using it obviously now for booktube. Hopefully I can keep it as steady as possible. I don't have the steadiest hand, but we'll give it a try. So first up on my shelf, I have a good bit of fantasy. So I love YA fantasy, I love new adult, as well as adult fantasy, but I have some up here. So A Curse So Dark and Lonely, I have not read that yet. Skyward, I read about 20 pages of and put it back down. I want to read it again this fall. I've heard it's really, really good, and the third one in the series is coming out soon. I have the first 3 books of the Throne of Glass series. I love this series. I'm reading the last one, Kingdom of Ash, right now. Then I have the Six of Crows duology. I have the first 2 books of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I also have the first book of the King of Scars duology. I love this world. I know not everybody loves it. Well, not everyone loves Shadow and Bone, but I personally really like Shadow and Bone. I love the characters in the Six of Crows, and I'm excited to see where King of Scars goes. Alright, up next I have the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Like I said in one of my other videos, I need to read this fall to make my boyfriend proud because it's the only book on my shelf that he has read that I haven't. American Royals I read and liked. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder I just read and liked. Truly Devious, y'all heard that one in my last video. All the Light We Cannot See, I chose that for our book club last winter and everybody loved it. Super, super good. The 1,000th Floor, I actually haven't read that one. I believe it's dystopian, but along the veins of Gossip Girl, I think? Maybe. Who knows? Down to the next where I've got a really beautiful copy of Rule of Wolves that my friend Tori sent me. I don't have it with my other one up there. It goes with King of Scars. I don't have it up there because I like my books to be stacked in order of their size as well as their color, and it doesn't fit with all the other paperbacks up there. A Spark of Light by Jodi Picoult is absolutely beautiful. Lilac Girls is a historical fiction that I have not read yet. The Vanishing Half, I have read that. I gave it to my mom to read as well, and she loved it. The Lost Symbol is another one by Dan Brown. It's really good. It's not my favorite, but I still really, really like it. Alright, we got some Book of the Month books coming up here. I no longer subscribe to Book of the Month. I thought it was a good deal at first, but I didn't always find books in the genres that I love. So some of the ones that I still have, I obviously really liked. But I was looking for a little bit more fantasy, and I just didn't find that too often. So I have The Four Winds by Kristin. This book will make you sob. Okay, so that book is really good. But it is very, very emotional. It has a really emotional ending. I mean, the whole thing is just like, whew, it's tough. But if you've read Kristin Hannah books before, you know the drill with that. Next one, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one has huge hype all over the internet. I thought it was really good. Not my favorite book ever written by any means, but definitely really good. You know, a long, slow, that makes it sound bad. A long, slow, like sweeping story. I mean, it's a journey. It takes hundreds of years. So that's definitely different for me, if you know my taste, which is like fast-paced everything, but still really, really good. Next up is Children of Blood and Bone. I was gifted this by a friend. It is a YA fantasy inspired by African folklore. I'm really excited to read that. Firekeeper's Daughter, I've been telling myself I'm going to read all year, and it never happens. I'm really excited to read it. It looks fantastic. Everyone and their mother says it's like the best book they've read this year, so I don't know why I'm not reading it, but here we are. The next one is a small little hardcover of The Lives of Saints, which is part of the Shadow and Bone world, so that's pretty cool. Then I have The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, a classic for sure. Alright, the next one is The Fountains of Silence, which is a historical fiction. And this author is known for her beautiful historical fiction works, particularly YA. I have the final revival of Opal and Nev. I've heard this is similar in the vein of, what's it called? There it is, Jay-Z Jones, which I really like, so I'm excited to read that. The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany. I've had a lot of people say that that book is really cool. It is not my typical genre, as you can tell based on everything else I have on my shelf, but excited to read it nonetheless. And then Circe, which was one of my favorite books of last year. Like, Circe is just the coolest. Like, she's awesome. She turns people into pigs. Like, what more do you want? So she's a really cool heroine, and I love to see the transformation of that story. All right, and then my bottom shelf with the rest of my tall hard fictions. You can see the first one hiding there in the corner is my favorite book of the year so far, and that's A Court of Silver Flames. I will talk about this in another video, but me and Nesta and I, like, we are twins. We are sisters, we are pals. So I'm excited to talk about that in a future video, but that book is unreal. Dan Brown's Inferno, probably too timely for right now, but it is a thriller about a pandemic. It's really good. I just couldn't read it right now. The People We Keep is a new book of the month book for me, at least my most recent one, and I've heard amazing things about it. Recursion, I've told myself I'm going to read for years as well, and I really, really want to check that one out. Blake Crouch's other books are really, really good, so I definitely want to give this one a try. Next up is The Empire of Gold, which is the third book in the City of Brass trilogy. I won the third one in a giveaway, which is why it's a hardcover. One of my other ones, which you'll see here in a little bit, are the paperbacks. I have The Mothers, which is by the same author as The Vanishing Half. I have not read it yet. I have The Siren, which was a finished copy that was gifted to me. It is not my style of book, but I want to read it nonetheless. It's very summery, so I'm looking forward to hopefully reading that next spring, summer. And then I also have Origin by Dan Brown. Y'all can see a trend. I love Dan Brown. And Origin is about artificial intelligence and is super interesting. All right, last couple ones on this shelf. I've got Dear Edward, which I just bought from someone on Instagram. And I believe it is about a young boy who is the lone survivor of a plane crash and just his dealings with survivor's guilt. And so I know that's going to be a tough book to read, but I've heard really great things. My friend Patty on Instagram, I think this is her favorite book. Next I have Ariadne, which my friend Erin really, really likes. So I'm excited to read that. Then I have the Book of Longings, which is one of my first book of the months that I ever got. My mom read this and loved it. I just haven't had time to get to it. And then Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn is my favorite book in the Throne of Glass series. A lot of people say, oh, just skip it. It doesn't really matter. Like, those characters don't matter. They absolutely do, okay? So if you liked A Court of Silver Flames in the ACOTAR series, you will love Tower of Dawn. Like, similar vibes. 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult is one of the best books I've ever read. It is heart-wrenching, super, super good. The Lost Apothecary I have not read yet, and then The Guinevere Deception I have not read yet. That was gifted to me by a friend as well. All right, we're in the dark corners here, but I've got a few books by Jodi Meadows up here on the left. I love Jodi. Jodi is such a great, she's a fantastic author. She's from where I'm from, and she's just a great presence in our community here in the book world. She's written a lot of really, really cool books. I also have Forestborn, which was an ARC. I need to get to that soon. Fireborn, which is a recommendation from Elliot Brooks. She's one of my favorite booktubers, so I definitely have to check that out. And I've got They Went Left. That was one of my best books last year. This book is probably the saddest book I've ever read. It deals with PTSD, and in my personal opinion, it writes on PTSD better than any book I have ever seen. I also have The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. I really like this one. I actually want to reread it. I got it last year right when it came out. It was one of the only new releases that I bought last year. I really liked it. So I would say definitely give it a chance. You know, if you love the Hunger Games, it's a different story. You know, it's prior to the Hunger Games by several decades. And it's more character driven than plot driven. So if you like a character driven story, you're really gonna like it, I think. Then I have The Toll, which is the third book in the Scythe series, which you see the other two over here on the right. The Inheritance Games, which I talked about last time. And then a new favorite series that I started this year, which was The Bridge Kingdom. And it's a duology as of right now. The third one is coming out soon, but I think it's more of a companion. And so that's The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen. Then finally over here on the right, I have the Scythe series, or the remnants of it. I've got Scythe and Thunderhead. What drives me crazy is all three of these books are different sizes. I know that one of them is hardcover, but the two paperbacks do not match. That grinds my gears. But I love this series. I then have two proper romances, and they are Lakeshire Park and The Gentleman and the Thief. I love proper romance. I just don't own a lot of it. And then the last book over there on the right is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. I haven't read this yet, and I honestly don't know how. So I know it's going to be sad. I know it's going to be a tricky one, but I'm excited to read it nonetheless. All right, so let's take a look at some more of my chunky, short hardbacks that I love so much. I've got 3 more Jodi Meadows books over there on the left, the Orphan Queen duology, as well as part of the Incarnate series. I then have Thorn, which I believe is a mythology-based fantasy YA novel. I then have the 3 books in the Fable series. Well, 2 of them make up a duology, Fable and Namesake. They're absolutely stunning. And then the last, Legacy, is based in the same world, but it's more of a companion. Moving over, I've got Amari and the Night Brothers, which is basically the most recommended to me middle grade book. I love middle grade fantasy. I'm working on a middle grade fantasy story right now. And so it's really inspiring to me to have, you know, some of that genre on my shelf too. Obviously I've got a whole nother shelf of middle grade hanging out in my classroom. But this is one that I've featured on this shelf. Next, the purple book, The Box in the Woods, is the 4th companion to the Truly Devious series. So good. If you love Truly Devious, like, this 4th one is worth it. It's really, really good as well. The Nature of Witches is up next, which I've talked to you guys about. I also have this white hardback, is 6 Crimson Cranes. I just bought this book, and I keep hearing amazing things about this. It's by the same author as Spin the Dawn, and I just, like, this one might be next up on my list. We'll see. All right, and then the last couple over here on the right are some of my taller, like, oddly shaped paperbacks. So I've got The Bone Shard Daughter. I started this a couple months ago, I think this summer, and I got like 50 pages in and I just never picked it back up again. Like, I was confused. And I think I was supposed to be confused. Like, I think it wasn't supposed to make sense at the time. But I was lost. I was lost. I'll come back to it though. Next is Daisy Jones and the Six. I really loved this book. It has a cult following. People are obsessed with it. Then I've got City of Brass and the Kingdom of Copper. I've read the first one. I need to read the second, but I also need to read a synopsis of the first again because that book is dense. It's so dense. It's amazing, but it's dense. And then the last one is In the Heart of Paradise, which is an arc from my friend Jamie. And this book comes out. It came out today. It came out today. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, November 2nd, this book just released, which is awesome. So go Jamie. All right, down on my last shelf, I've got Lady Sunshine, which is a finished copy by Miss Amy Mason Dawn, and she sent this to me after connecting with me on Instagram, which was super, super cool. It looks like a really, really amazing book. I'm excited to read it. It'll probably be this winter by the time I get to it. Next is 2 of the books in the Incarnate series. Incarnate is my favorite Jodi Meadows book. I'm obsessed with these. I try to tell everyone about them. They're not super popular on the internet right now, but I'm trying to get everyone to be obsessed with them. More popular, I would say, by Jodi Meadows is the My Lady Jane and My Plain Jane. I believe she also has My Calamity Jane. Yes? Yeah, is that right? And she's got more coming out, so lots going on there. But a lot of people know those books, and they're really great as well. Next over, I've got some copies of Divergent that my friend Tori sent me, and I love these covers. They are amazing. The colors are like a perfect color palette. And then I don't have the last one, which is 4, but I have a copy of it, just not in that cover, and I'm really hoping to get it soon. I saw it in Barnes & Noble, and it took like every ounce of me not to get it. Speaking of Divergent, I love Allegiant. I love the ending. I will discuss my thoughts. If you hate it, I will tell you why it's the best. Next, I have the Ugly series by Scott Westerfeld. Like, this got me into reading. This is the real deal, y'all. Really great dystopian. I then have House Rules by Jodi Picoult, another really heart-wrenching book, but really, really good. Under the Southern Sky is a women's fiction by Kristin Woodson Harvey. I got looped into her books by my friend Hannah over on Instagram. This book is amazing. I read it in one sitting on the beach. It's beautiful. I also have An Arc of the Lion's Den. Again, not really my type of book, but I definitely want to get to it in spring, summer. And then finally, my copies of The Lord of the Rings that my friend Bree sent me. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of my shelves here, and I hope you find something on your shelf that you either are inspired to read or you want to convince me to read. So let me know in the comments what you think. Give me suggestions on what to read from my shelf next, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.